Okay, is it recording? I think it's recording.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so Meera, you can start.
Okay, hello guys. Today in the morning when I was doing the code walkthrough with Proful and Purv, I realized something. So initially, I'll just talk about how I looked into the Twitter API research. So what I realized was first we need to do a simple tweet lookup to get the conversation ID for the thread, and then do the second API call to do a search endpoint, construct a query basically to get the replies for on that specific conversations thread. So there were two API calls that needed to be done. So initially, I didn't know about this async await phenomenon in JavaScript. So what I did was I wrote code in the form of promises, which is just, you make a fetch call, and in the response that you get from fetch, you call another piece of code. So this was kind of like callback hell. So then I realized I spoke to somebody who was a JavaScript expert, and they told me that you don't have to necessarily do this. So you can just do the async await thing. So I got rid of some piece of code. But still, there was this overall question that remained, like how to separate the two pieces of code. Like, for example, in the first API call, I need to do one kind of processing. So basically, I just need to get the conversation ID, create a common tweet, and put it in the tweets array. And then the second API endpoint, I need to process a whole bunch of tweets, which I'll be getting from the Twitter API, and figure out which is in reply to which tweet. So kind of understand the chronological order. Sometimes it need not match on the basis of just the timestamp. So there is something called in reply to which tweet. So I needed to filter it out on that basis. And so I had to, there were two different kinds of processing that I needed to do for the two endpoints. So I decided not to have a single common, API hit, just write separate files. So that's why the current structure remains the way it is. I know it is hard for people to understand, especially when you drill down into the code and, visit every file. So I definitely did like this structure that you have, but I'm not 100% sure if I can put all the API calls into one folder, then transformations into one folder, and then calling them. I'm not sure if it'll be easy. What do you guys think?
Okay, I understand. So let me try to summarize what I understood. So
Okay.
you have, this is mostly complicated because the Twitter API is not giving us much of a easy way to do these things, right?
Yes.
So we need to write our own functions which are doing certain things. So just to summarize at a high level, you are fetching API. So the first API that you're fetching is for the first tweet, and then you have some specific transformation that you're doing on the response. That is one part.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. So the first API hit, I just
Okay.
get the first tweet's details and the conversation ID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is what you're extracting from that response.
I also need to make the second API hit. So it's a consecutive, it's like chaining of processes.
Mm-hmm. Are you using any of the details from the first API response to create the second call?
Basically, to make the second call, I need the
Or is it just
conversation
that
ID.
you need to do it
and
afterwards?
Yes, conversation ID and the screen name to filter out only responses from that current user, not others.
Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, so you have first API call, some transformations. You are getting some data from there, which you are using to do the second API call. Then you have some more transitions, and finally you have the simplified content that the handlebar side they can consume.
Yeah, exactly. So if it can fit into this model, that would be great. Because yeah, definitely the code logic will, the way this code is structured will definitely simplify. But why I wrote the code the way it was because of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then so I tried to like create these folders, and I'll just try to explain what I was trying to think of. Basically, this API side, it might handle just the Twitter API side, meaning that it could be an abstraction on top of the existing Twitter API. And it would provide maybe two functions. That would be like, one would be the main tweet fetching, and the second would be the conversation fetching. So whatever parameters, or for example, the what is the endpoint? You have a lot of constants. I think you have mentioned Twitter utils. There are a lot of these things, right?
Yeah, under the
There
utils,
is a lot of these
API
constants
endpoint.
that would come inside there. Getting the API key part, that would come inside there.
Okay.
Calling the actual fetch. So wherever we are importing the fetch, node fetch,
You need to scroll down a
that
little.
code would, sorry.
Yeah, the fetch thing is, you need to scroll down a little bit. Yeah, then you'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that part would come inside there. So whatever that is concerned with is only doing the API call, nothing more. It's not doing processing. It would be a function call which will return the exact response from the Twitter API.
Okay.
And from there, I am thinking, I don't know about the what. I think the transformations should come next.
Yeah.
Transformation meaning that you are getting the API response and you're converting it to a new format that much more simpler for us to use.
Yes.
And for the what I understand from you is that for the first request there is not much of processing, but for the second conversation API we need to do a lot of transformation to get to the final format.
Yes.
Okay. And when does this validation, for example, validation, what I saw was there is something like has it exceeded 7 days or some kind of validation like that. Does it happen before or after transformation?
It happens after the request is done. So after the request is done, Twitter might return a, no authorization response, or it might return like some other, like the tweet is deleted, the ID that we're trying to look up. So there could be a bad error message from Twitter itself, or we could filter it out on the basis of the tweet has exceeded 7 days, or the tweet ID is full complete thread, right? We'll only be able to see the conversation from that point onwards. So I'm actually implementing that check as well. So these are the 4
Okay.
validations that I have in my code right now.
But there might be more that we might
Yeah,
need to
there
add
might be more.
to
Yeah.
improve, right? Okay. So in
But
that
all of this is being done
situation, what
after
we have
making
in,
the first fetch.
could you repeat that?
This all the 4 validations that I'm making is I'm doing it after the response from the first fetch.
Immediately after the response from the first fetch.
Yes.
Only after that all that validation is done are you thinking about the second fetch call?
Yes, before making the second fetch call.
Okay. 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 So I think at least in this structure, maybe what I'm thinking is maybe the index.js, it might have some heavy functions wherein it might have function which is getting the first API response, then like doing the validation for that first API response, then doing the transformation for the first API response,
Okay.
then coming from there, fetching the second API call response,
Okay.
doing the validations if there are any, and then doing the transformations, and then
Okay.
finally it will return the actual data. So that would be this function. In terms of heavy, what I meant is that it would be similar to the index.js here, which is kind of long. It is doing a lot of things one after the other, right?
Okay.
It could be similar to this. That is just a thought process right now. I'm not sure if so since I have not gone in depth into your code, I really don't know if that is possible, but it's just a suggestion that you can try when you are refactoring.
Okay. So originally what I was doing was when I was doing the request from the response, like, so here transformations is a separate folder, right? So from the first you fetch transformation, if I was making a call to the second fetch, which I needed to do in my code flow, so there was something called an issue of circular dependency that came. So
Okay.
basically, Node was telling me that something this function is not recognized because there is a link between dependencies. So these things are completely new to me. So I didn't know what to do about them. That's why I had to like restructure it in a completely different way.
Okay. So
Do
you
you
were
know about that?
importing one file within the other file.
Yeah. So when I was making the fetch, which is the API folder in your case, if the
Hmm.
API folder, some code in the API file is making a call to the response, the transformation file, and then the
Hmm.
transformation file was again making a call back to the fetch, because that's how
Hmm.
the promise was written, because it was a
Hmm.
callback originally. It gave rise to something called circular dependency for me. So again, I had
Got
to
it.
debug that whole crap. So we need to figure this out clearly, so then we can write clean code. So like you said, if we can keep the index file heavy and make
Hmm.
everything return back to the index file and then keep making calls from there, I think that would be perfect.
Hmm. In the sense
Right?
that neither of these would be referring to each other, but they would
Yeah.
be referred by a master file in
Master.
the.
Yeah. So if we can keep it like that, I think then it will work. So is Puru agreeing to this? What does he think?
Definitely, this is the best approach. Like everything is just separate and it's all being like collected all at one place. That's actually perfect, because for one reason. First of all, it's much more like it's good for your sanity. It's much more simpler and more logical. And second, it's more testable. We'll be able to run automated tests in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay,
good.
so one problem is solved. This flow issue, okay, now we have kind of arrived at a conclusion. So that part is a little bit clear now for me. The second problem that I have is where to put all these tweets. So currently I have a file called tweet info where I have a global variable called tweets. So I keep updating that global variable
Mhm.
whenever I process a tweet.
Okay.
So is that approach okay for you guys to carry ahead, or should we change that too?
Um, so you're saying that there is this tweets object which is kind of like a global state where everyone else is updating to that state.
Yeah. So from the response folder, like in your case, the transformations folder, we will keep updating this global variable, and this global variable is being returned back to the PDF, the PDF calling logic or whatever, the main
Um,
original index file.
It's actually fine, but it's actually fine as long as we are returning the stuff from every single function. It's fine as long as that is happening.
yeah, Mira,
Uh,
what he's saying is something like this where we are capturing everything in the main file. We would have the global tweets in the main file, and whatever processing we need to do, we would pass in the specific. So say for example, the first API call is giving us this particular data, then we would be passing in this particular data into that, and whatever is returned, we would be overwriting the existing variable or some other
okay.
part inside the global variable, something like that. So
Okay.
that main file, the index file, is like orchestrating all of the calling and data passing and binding together.
No, the reason I asked was because I was not sure where to put this structure now, because in your new folder. So where would it go? Would it be in the index file?
I'm thinking it would go in. Yeah, I'm thinking it would be in the index file or some other index file or some, not necessarily some other index file.
Tweet.js.
Yeah, something like a tweet.js probably.
Okay. So that approach is okay for you guys, right? So basically, so what Puru has done right now by returning the collect tweets, that function that is written, we can continue with that approach.
Puru, are you okay with that? I'm not very familiar with that part.
Yeah, it's actually good. We can do all the changes in the global variable, and then we can simply do return collect tweets. So it would work
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay. So yeah, then I'm kind of okay with this folder structure thing. So these are the two questions that I had, because one was the circular dependency issue that I had, which means we need
Mm,
one single file to make calls to all the processes, other processes.
mm,
So
mm,
which is where you said we can use the index file. And the other one issue was this tweets global variable. I was not sure if this was the correct approach to export the tweets, but this was what I came up with at that moment when I wrote the code originally. So if this is okay, then yeah, we could put the same tweets inside the index file or another file like Purv just said, tweets.js maybe.
Yeah,
So that will
that
remain
should be
outside
fine.
this. Yeah, outside these
And
code.
at least when we, I'm not saying that this might be the perfect final folder structure, but at least we are in agreement that we can try doing it this way and see what are the
Okay.
issues we face, and then we can iterate on that if we need to see if we need to follow a different structure or not.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Now I
perfect.
feel a
Like
little bit
just
more comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, it's perfect. Like one step at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so once we have the response that is created, so here also the last point that I'm saying is, so this scraping folder, I'm thinking that Puppeteer could go into that, and possibly like you mentioned, there are a lot of validations, right? If it is older than 7 days, then if that particular validation is getting an error, it should automatically go to Puppeteer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Something like
makes
that.
sense. What do you think, Puru? I think that's correct actually, but I'm thinking I don't know how if Puppeteer has any other limitations. So while scraping, whether because I've not actually written code for that yet.
Yeah,
If Puppeteer is supposed
that's
to give me
okay.
a bunch of code IDs, so we still need
Yeah.
to work that out. But yeah, what you're saying actually logically makes sense.
At least at a high level, we can think of it like that.
Yeah, high level we can definitely agree that because that is the goal of the project. Not use Puppeteer for all the cases, but just for this one specific case.
Yeah, sounds good. And we could agree that there would be one specific um, JSON format that I think is the one similar to this that will be handed off to the rendering part, right?
Yeah, the handlebar
Yeah,
scenario. I think you could also add one more folder inside this called mock, where we can place the mock file and
sure, that
basically
would be great.
keep the mock
Yeah,
file in sync with this structure. That's another thing that we need to take care of, because any changes to the structure, that means the mock file also needs to be changed to accommodate the handlebar logic.
yeah, we would need to regenerate all the mock files, right?
Yeah.
So all of these
So
are
there
mock.
are so many mock files right now because Purv has created one for each scenario, like when there is a GIF, when there is a link, when there is an image. So maybe we can just combine all of them and put it in one single mock file where
Yeah,
if we can show an example of each kind, and then just keep that in sync with this tweet structure.
yeah. At least to start off with, I think once we refactor this, we'll be able to generate the new mocks if there is any change, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But we
Right
need to
now
have a
there is no
mock and
JSON being generated because we are just returning the global variable itself. But we can add that one step to just write the JSON.
yeah, that makes sense. And possibly
Okay.
in the future, once we add some testing, we would be able to use those mock responses directly without having to call the API.
Okay.
Yeah, but I ask everyone of you to please not delete this because there are going to be always some edge cases which I'll have to look up. Like for example, say the user some of the code I wrote today broke because the description of a user profile did not have any links in it, so everything just broke.
Mhm.
So there are going to be those edge cases, so I ask you to not delete those at least, but what I ask is just like keep one single mock.json which we keep updated for the mock API, but don't delete these.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we can put everything in the same, or do you want to have a separate folder for this?
No, like all these files should be like separate.
Okay.
So a single
Okay.
mock folder would do.
No,
Right,
what
Puru.
he's saying is we can keep the mock file separate from this. So basically put all these responses that he has generated for testing purposes into one particular folder. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it untouched for now because during the testing process, let's create a separate folder for the mock and put one of the mock.json files into that.
Uh,
And
ac-
then we
actually,
can,
uh, let me explain a bit. The Twitter dash responses contains the raw responses from the very Twitter API itself. But the Twitter dash mock dash responses, they actually contain the what the return
Transformed ones.
collect tweets return. It's the latest format
ah,
output.
okay. So which one do you want to remain untouched?
No, no,
Just to be
both,
sure.
both. I need both.
Both. Okay, so
Okay.
where can I use one of these folders for the mock? Because right now I think I'm using the Twitter mock responses folder for the mock file path.
Yeah, that one is right.
Okay. So and even in that I had to change the date format because there was a timestamp associated with it. So I changed that. I wanted to let you know. Something was breaking because of the timestamp. You intelligently created the file name, right? From the created at timestamp. So something
I
broke
fixed
because
that
of that.
actually.
Yeah. Anyway,
Maybe
so
it's
yeah,
not so
then I'll go
intelligent.
ahead and use the Twitter mock responses folder for the mock. So let's not create a separate folder, Kenny.
We can just rename it to mock because it is
Yeah, we
anyways
can
Twitter.
rename it. Yeah.
It's just a mock folder, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll still need the Twitter dash responses, so we'll have to find some place for it.
Yeah. So
So you can call this a raw
in the morning,
responses.
Prabhu said we can put it in the playground folder. Do you want to move it there or do you want to leave it here for now temporarily?
I think we should keep it here for any future maintenance.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Mira, you can just create a mock folder and put this inside. Put this
Okay.
entire thing inside. These two,
Yeah.
right? So I just created a sample structure here. I'll just snip it and share it in the same one. So we're all in agreement on this, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, seems
I should
perfect.
just go ahead and create the folder structure, or is someone has a have you already pushed these changes, Kenny?
No, it's just this is just an issue.
Issue,
So
right?
you
Okay.
can go ahead and do it.
Okay. So should I just go ahead and create it in under the Twindle CLI itself, or
Exactly there. You just do the entire thing.
okay?
Figure out how to refactor your code. It would
Okay.
be a good learning.
Okay. Sounds good.
I have to ask you, can we put off refactoring for some time? Because there's some features I'm working on, and it would be quite disruptive if everything just changed out of all of a sudden. So I have to ask you
Sure,
to, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 days at least.
sure, no problem.
Sure. Sounds good.
I'm fine.
I can wait, no issues. It's just that I need your help with the processing tweet
Yeah,
utility. Yeah.
I mean, after 2 to 3 days, I'll jump in myself into doing this.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. How about that, Praful? Is that okay? Is it
Yeah, sounds good, Mira, Pro and Kelly.
okay?
Yeah,
So
if you
I'll
want
see
to,
if I
Mira,
can
you
work
can.
on that integrating Puppeteer with Twitter. So basically processing the array. I looked it up, Proful, and I think we can get up to 100 tweets in one single API call. Like basically append 100 tweet IDs. So that was the limit. So I think that sounds good. With a single API call, we can get all the tweets that we want. So I'll try integrating that Puppeteer approach.
I have a question. Is the 100 limit actually imposed by the Twitter itself, API itself?
Yeah, so in one single API call, there is an IDs field, right? So we can just append up to 100 tweet IDs within that within that
Okay.
query field.
Okay.
Although I don't know, I mean, I think URL has some restrictions. Does anybody know how long a URL valid URL can be? Because I think it was 1048 the last time I saw. So if the URL itself is going to exceed, then it could cause issues.
Hmm.
So we need to look that up as well. But Twitter is allowing us 100 tweets
Okay.
right now. So I can probably work on that until you finish up everything, Puruf. Then we can start this refactoring. But
Okay, that sounds good.
and do you have any other questions, Kenny? I'm sorry, today I just had to clear that up before I started.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this would be a good opportunity to create a different branch and make this refactoring, and only push the branch if it is stable. Don't break that code.
Okay. I can
I will
start a
leave it
branch
to
with all the
Meera
new
and
changes.
Puru to decide.
Yeah, I can start a branch. Then we can keep working on that branch, I guess. Like create a new branch in our project itself, right? That's what you're saying.
No, you can create your own branch, but don't. If it is final, then only merge it. If you can do that quickly, then you can do in the main branch. But if it's taking lots of time, like I get a feeling that Puru won't be available for 2-3 days. How much time do you think this will take, Mira?
This should take a couple of days.
Yeah, then if it is like, I don't want to break the main branch because I am testing it out. It is looking good.
Okay.
If it is taking more time, couple of days, right? Because there may be some issues. I don't want to make my main branch broken.
Yeah, I mean, Purav just said that he wants to finish whatever he's doing right now on the current branch. So then only he can jump in with the refactoring part. Because with the refactoring, I can work most of the logic except for the response validation logic. Like he has worked on all the tweet processing, the links and all of those, right? So I'm not familiar with that
Like,
part.
Kenny, are you planning to work on the refactoring or let Puru and Mira take care of that?
I can do it if they want me to, but I do not want to stand in the way of their learning.
No. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, this would be a little bit complex part, Kenny.
Then I can do it.
Like, yeah, if you have time, then I would suggest, like, if you are interested, then you can just organize the code and take the branch and give the code so they can merge it.
Okay, then I'll create a PR.
Mira, that sounds fine.
With it.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with that.
Because Mira has some other work, like multiple IDs he's handling, so that will keep her busy. And Puru is on the flow with image and hashtag. See, he's breaking and fixing lots of changes continuously. So they will be busy on those two parts. So I suggest like create another branch and do the refactoring. And once it's stable, right, so that you can ask them to merge their changes.
Okay, great. So then I would like Puru and Meera to be mindful about whatever changes you are creating, so that we ensure that that is merged in back. So we will need to have another meeting like this once we are merging it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Just that we are catching everything that you're doing. We are not losing any of your content once we finally merge.
Yeah, makes sense. So I can work on the puppeteer thing, right? Then just get the multiple tweet IDs part.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Anything else anyone wants to ask? Any doubts or anything? I think we have time 5 to 7 minutes more. Anyone can ask any questions.
One thing, Kenny, I think I would suggest you to wait after 5-10 minutes a little bit, not to discuss with me. But I got a message that this meeting is not going to terminate in 40 minutes.
Oh, it's not going to terminate?
Yeah, the 40-minute limit, right? I think there is no 40-minute limit by Zoom now anymore.
Oh, okay. Then we can give it a try.
Yeah, so that what will happen, like we can move our daily call from Google Meet to this, so that we can record it and we'll think through it.
Sure.
Yeah, you guys talk. I'll be on mute.
Sure.
What do you want to talk about, Kenny? Is there anyone else on the call?
Yeah, Pranav is on the call. Pranav
Yeah.
might have some questions.
Yeah, Pranav, do you have any questions?
Not actually. Right now, I have to look into the code once more.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have anything, you can end the call, no problem. That this is just
Yeah, I think you can just create the folders, Kenny, and start with little bit like small functions. Then maybe we can start from there, and in a couple of days we'll join and
Yeah,
ping me if you
I
have
have the
any
structure
questions.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask.
And will you create an upstream branch like on Twindle itself?
Either ways is fine. I'll just create a draft pull request and I'll just keep updating that. How does that sound?
I have a question. Aren't the pull requests going to be merged into the main branch, or you as a maintainers can select a different branch at that time?
Could you repeat that?
While merging, when you're merging a pull request, can you choose another branch to merge it into, other than main?
I think the person who is creating the pull request has to decide which branch to go to. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can decide in which branch we want to make a PR. Like there will be an option to choose.
Yeah,
Okay, then I'm
I'm
not
thinking it should
familiar
be
with
on
this.
Twindle itself.
Sorry.
Can you repeat?
I think it should be on Twindle itself, like upstream slash, I don't know, Twitter dash refactor.
Yeah.
So that we can always sync up to it.
Yeah.
No, the point is if you just create a separate branch locally, Kenny, then I don't think we can see your changes until it's merged into the main branch. So I think that's why Puru was saying, create a separate branch on the Twindle code itself, then make the changes and merge it to that branch. Then we can check out that branch and make further changes without breaking the main branch. Then finally, when the system is stable, we can merge both branches. Is that correct, Puru? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I understand that. That is one way to go about it. Another idea is that, okay, whenever someone is creating a PR, it is coming from their branch. They have pulled to their fork. So what you can see is, if you come down here, there is a view command line instruction. So you can check out from whoever it is. So it is Geo in this case. This particular branch you can also check out. So if I'm merging that directly into Twindle, then that like pull request would be would have to be closed, or there would be no pull request at all. So how do we want to do that? Do you want it to be like I am just committing directly to the branch in Twindle?
See, I didn't know about this. You can check
yeah.
out
Let
files
me jump
from one
in.
of them.
Let me jump in. I think Kenny, you can directly create a branch in the Twindle direct repository and post your changes. It should be fine.
Okay, and then finally we can create a pull request from that branch to Twindle main.
Yeah. So that will merge from that to main.
So I won't be creating pull request right now. I'll just be pushing to that branch.
Yeah. Make sure that you don't push into main branch. You create a refactoring branch and keep updating whatever you want to do. You can have the right access, so you feel free to do that. So that when this Puru and Mira will check out, right? So they'll sync. So they'll always see the branch. So they can toggle very effortlessly whenever they want.
Got it. Sure. That sounds good.
Anyone else
And
has any
also, Kenny, one small thing to add. When you are trying to create this refactoring, right? Always keep in mind like that. Try to create the pure functions, okay? Because Puru also I was talking one day, so that it should be testable. Like I think you are going to do that, so that the testing. I think the next phase we have to introduce is just testing, because we will end up breaking lots of our existing functionality. Nowadays also daily I am doing manual testing, and one or two features are getting broken. So it is a good thing that Puru is addressing immediately, but if more and more people will jump in, right? So we'll have lots of issues in that in future.
Okay, sounds good. So then after this refactor, we will also have the test.
Yeah, so that when you're doing the refactoring, right? So make sure that all the function whatever you created, making it sure that we don't need to write test cases, but think that tells that we should be able to test it with independently all the components.
Okay. Yeah.
Without having much dependency. That is the only point I want to add.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
I'm curious to know how you guys will test JS code. You guys write mock files. Mock testing objects. How do you do it?
We are going to think.
Okay. No, I'm not familiar with this at all. Generally in Java, we do JUnit testing where we just do simple assert, or we can create mock objects. So
yeah, similar idea only.
Okay.
We might use we would use Jest, which is a popular JavaScript.
Oh, Jest is a tool. Okay.
Yeah, now we are going to use Jest only. This is by Facebook and quite popular. And I think almost there is everybody's 80-90% people are using Jest only. Earlier there are Chai, Mocha, and there are other things, but now Jest is dominating. So here you will have SSN libraries, mocking library, everything you will get here.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this because I'm very bad at testing. I generally do manual testing and I submit my code. Someone else does the testing, so I hate unit testing as well because writing code itself is.
Yeah, that is also my mindset. But problem is that it's open source contribution, right? You can see, even though I don't want to force like linting, rectifier, other thing, we can live without it. But this testing would be critical because I don't want like Puru to make breaking your changes, or you broke Puru changes and something vice versa, or somebody new will come and put a pull request. We can break it, right?
True.
So at one time we want to encourage everybody participation. Other time also, who will going to verify? It is manually, it is not possible to, by reviewer can verify that code whether it will work or not. They can only see that little bit syntax and here and there.
Yeah.
So this test case will give us a safeguard that it won't broke. So we'll have some automated action, other thing going forward. So like we are seeing like pull request, like merge conflict is there or not, right? So we can see if it is merge conflict, we are not going to approve it. Similarly, in future, right? If the test case is passed, then only we're going to merge it. Otherwise, we'll ask politely that please fix this test cases. So this is going to be extremely important.
Sounds good, Profil. I'm learning lots of things on this project.
Yeah, Kenny, do you agree with the testing importance of it?
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
It is very easy to like work on a what do you say? So for example, now I'm going to refactor this thing. I might break a lot of things, that is for sure. Having tests wouldn't help in a refactor situation, but at least if once I wire it back up, I would be able to be certain that my refactor really worked or not. So in that case, someone new coming into this and then they don't know what the existing code is done because it was written by someone else. So then how confident are they that whatever change they are making is actually not breaking any of the previous things? For example, Puru is also saying that something broke, but then we don't know. Someone else does not have that knowledge. So we need to capture those in the test.
Yeah. Plus, writing tests will give us a sure shot way of knowing that our commit is safe, so we can push it because the tests are all working. So we are okay to push the changes. Right now, I'm dreading a push. What if I break something?
Yeah, that happens.
Also,
yeah, now it is fine, Mira. See, actually, I'm not at all worrying about Puru breaking the changes or you breaking the changes, to be honest, because we have not released to public yet. But once we publish this to NPM module, and if you are keep on breaking, then it would be a bit embarrassing,
Yeah, definitely. Also, one more thing, there is this logic of writing tests before writing code. So do you guys agree with that? Because I've never done that. And I know that's a healthy practice. So they ask us to write test before, start writing test before writing the code, because that will help in maintaining your test. So that's the industry standard that they're talking about. I was also listening to some speech by Angie Jones, I think her name is, on Twitter. So she was also saying the same thing, that we must write lots of tests, learn to write tests. And that's the one thing that I really, really hate. So
See, I'll give you one analogy. You have rice and curry. So if you eat curry first, then rice, or I will eat rice or after that curry, or you mix it, you eat. But at the end of the day, you should eat both of the things. So it really doesn't matter like which way you prepare. It is up to you like which way to prepare. But writing test case is really important.
yeah. True.
And I don't know, Meera, if how bad testing is in Java or how long it takes, but I think in JavaScript these tests run pretty fast, and it's not that difficult to write also. I do not know if you have
maybe Kenny, one more suggestion. I'm sorry, like I'm overloading you with lots of but if you can come up with some kind of 1 or 2 sample just integration file, right, with the refactoring, even though it takes a little bit time. So create like skeleton, like test folder, and have something, no need to write everything test case, but at least 1 or 2 example, so that different scenario, so that Puru and Mira or somebody new normally can take that example and start writing test cases once the refactoring is complete.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So please have some like refactoring, because that would be go to the production, right? We may not do refactoring again and again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
I think we have crossed 45. And Puru, we are not talking about curries, but it was an analogy that Praful was sharing about when to test or not.
Sounds good, guys. Take care. Have a good weekend, guys.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.